Welcome back. Let's give you this story now. The Springs couple accused of keeping their 5 children captive in their home, better known as the House of Horrors, will know their fate today. Judgment is expected to begin in the North Gauteng High Court today. The case came to light some 4 years ago. The parents face over 20 charges, including the attempted murder of their son and drug dealing. They allegedly tortured and sexually abused their children. Both have pleaded not guilty. The mother says she was a victim of her husband's abuse and intimidation. Let's take you to Nelson Mandela Bay now, where there seems to be no end in sight to the Democratic Alliance's blues. Its Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor, Athol Trollip, is facing a 4th motion of no confidence today. Question is, will he survive? eNCA's Sandy McCowen is in Port Elizabeth, keeping an eye on this particular story. Sandy, good morning. The question, I guess the first question for me is whether or not this particular motion of no confidence will go ahead this time around, given the failure of the last 2, I would say.
Yes, last night national leaders flew into Nelson Mandela Bay to see the national leaders of the opposition in the municipality here in Nelson Mandela Bay. They flew into Port Elizabeth to try and solve the impasse between the Patriotic Alliance and the EFF. The EFF has refused to support the plan that if Mayor Athol Trollip is ousted, then the Patriotic Alliance councillor Marlon Daniels will take his seat. The EFF says they will not hand over the metro to unrepentant fraudsters. Now, as we know, the impasse could not be resolved last night. I am now joined by Patriotic Alliance councillor Marlon Daniels, who was at the meeting last night. Thank you so much for speaking to us. I really appreciate it. All good. We know the impasse could not be resolved. Can you tell us what happened last night?
Well, I don't know if this interview is a confession box where I need to repent for being an unrepentant fraudster or a thug. But fact of the matter is that, you see, the problem here lies squarely at the door of the EFF. They are not our funder. So I don't know if they think if they insult us that we will bow down to them with our tails between our legs and apologize and say, no, it's cool, we can work with you. We cannot work with people insulting us and calling all these derogatory names. We are not going to return that favor of insults unto them. Let the people be the judge around that.
Now, was this about the position of mayor, or was it more about the fact that the EFF insulted you? What was it that you could not solve this impasse?
Look, it is true that there has been cracks within the coalition arrangement as far as the PA is concerned, and mostly one of the coalition partners, that being the DA. But here's we're just loading insults, and you cannot have that. You have democratic processes which needs to be followed, and it just shows once again the arrogance of the EFF. Having had meetings with national leadership, having resolved through democratic processes, and then the EFF having a meeting outside a meeting in the absence of all the national leaders, and coming up with a decision they have made and said, hey, we're not supporting the PA. Now, how can you also respect and let alone work with a party who does not follow democratic processes? You cannot work in a coalition with such people. Ultimately, whether they like it or not, the kingmakers here in Nelson Mandela Bay, it's definitely the Patriotic Alliance. Who else?
So it definitely wasn't about the position. I know you had a problem when Mayor Athol Trollip wouldn't give you the deputy mayor position, and now the EFF has stopped you from getting the mayoral position on the other side. Is this about the position?
I'm actually glad you're asking that. Really, thank you for asking. What happens here is that our President, Gaten McKenzie, our Deputy President, Anne Williams, our SG, Mary Liebenberg, and myself, we sat and we discussed the issue around the importance of positions. And it is clear, we've said it in the past, we will continue to say it, it is people before positions. In our statement released by our President last week after the insults by the EFF, we made it very clear that we're happy to step down from the mayoral candidacy position. So it can never be about positions. It's definitely people before positions.
So how are you going to vote today? Are you going to vote or are you abstaining?
No. Let me tell you something. If you are looking for cowards, you can go and look at the red clowns. There you'll find plenty of cowards, from Julius right down. So we have balls. We don't fold our arms, we vote. We'll definitely be voting.
Now, how does this affect your relationship with the coalition? You are the MMC for roads and transport. Will you continue with the coalition and being a partner of the coalition and continue in your position as MMC?
I don't know if you found yourself in a position where you broke up with your partner and then get calls and letters and chocolates and roses and stuff and trying to mend things. That's exactly where we were at. We've had late nights, very little sleep, while we were kissing, hugging and making up. But we gave everybody a fair chance to do that. So yes, we will indeed make sure that we will work with the coalition government. We have addressed a critical aspect of a co-governance agreement. Remember, when we came into the coalition, there was an agreement handed to us without us having any input in that. So I can state that it has been confirmed with the coalition partners that we're going to workshop that co-governance agreement to make sure we have a say in it. And that is our working tool going forward.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. The motion of no confidence council meeting will be starting shortly. The opposition says it's not over yet. They do have an ace up their sleeve and they say we must just wait and see.
All right, Sandy, just one quick question before I let you go. Will this motion of no confidence this time around primarily focus on the mayor, Athol Trollip? What about Jonathan Lavac, the speaker? Is he safe for now?
There are three motions that are on the table today. One is the Speaker, Jonathan Lavac. The second one is for Mayor Athol Trollip. And the third one is for Chief Whip Werner Senegal. So they are not safe at this stage. The opposition says it's not over. They have an ace up their sleeve. They say they have been lobbying people within other parties, and they say we must wait and see because they say that everyone is going to be shocked today.
All right. Thank you very much, Sandy McCowen. Well, that is the chaos. That is the Nelson Mandela Bay coalition.